And welcome back to the Independent Investor Channel. My name is Ryan here, coming to you straight live from New York City, man. It's so good to be back with you guys for delivering the goods, showing people the ropes, and trying to teach people the successes that I've been able to achieve over the course of my life, and also avoid some of the bad beats as well. Welcome all to the loyal subscribers to the channel. Been doing YouTube for about 10 years. Kind of at the pinnacle of a lot of different things here on YouTube. I have been fairly inconsistent in 2025, very busy with a lot of different projects, exciting projects, and the Independent Investor Channel has kind of taken a back seat. I do apologize to that, but don't unsubscribe from the channel, man. You want to put this in your back pocket free of charge. It's the best value on YouTube that you can find from somebody who can kind of share, convey in retrospect what it is that somebody who's maybe looking to achieve some level of personal wealth in life. How do you do it? If I was going to put somebody on a path to, making that millionaire status, I know everybody I talk to wants to become a millionaire, but they don't have the first foggiest clue on how to do it, you know? And, if I was just going to name a couple right off the top of the bat to share with you guys to kind of set the primer for tonight's live stream, which is kind of a culmination for me after 10 years of sharing and conveying on the YouTube channel. My personal investment journey started off at $79,000 total portfolio value. We're well in excess of $1 million. I'll share the details of the portfolio in this live stream tonight. Again, fraught with value. It'd be awesome as somebody who's a self-made millionaire to be able to sell tickets to my show. I just don't believe that. I am probably more critical over my portfolio now than ever. So it's not necessarily a celebration, rather an acknowledgement and a culmination of where we are. It's that simple. Just been on an awesome 20-day vacation. I flew in today from Prague, Czech Republic, here to New York. I'm glad to be back. It's a good vacation when you're ready to get back in the saddle and get back working again. Very relaxing. We visited Nice, France. It's a beautiful place. We visited the same place last year. I think if I could do some real estate speculation, it would be in Nice, France. We would get ourselves a modest apartment there. There's a lot of activity, walking distance to the French Riviera. Absolutely fantastic. I feel like a new person. I highly recommend it to anybody who, fancies a trip. You can get some direct flights there. Pretty awesome stuff. But we flew in from Prague just this morning, actually. Yeah, I drove to the airport this morning. So back in New York City and picked up 9 hours of hours here, and I've got enough energy to come on and talk to you kind people and report out on what has been an absolutely phenomenal stock market. I'm humbled when these things happen. It's always disappointing when we're talking about the other side of the coin, the spectrum of the stock market that, I think a lot of people would just as soon forget or ignore or pretend doesn't happen. And so when the market does this, what it is that we do, I don't have a lot of explanation behind it. This is why we invest. And, if we were going to set ourselves on a path to financial freedom, you want certain phases of market activity, the likes of which we have right now. So definitely don't want to complain when we've got this type of activity going on in the market. Still some underlying um, uh, cracks, I guess, or threats to the market, real estate being the number one. But there's some cross currents going on right now with the current administration's posture on how they're emboldening economic activity in this country. And if you're paying close attention and you've got to, oh, Jesus Christ, operate with an independent mind. All right. If you're going to tune into CNN or Fox News to allow them to do the thinking for you, I would pray for you. Please, Jesus. try to pursue some independent thought in this life. It's one of my attributes, habits of successful thinking, and it's been able to manufacture myself to that self-made millionaire status. And geez, I would wish that level of liberation upon anybody, if they fancy the ability to think for themselves and not be persuaded by the masses out there and the group think. Man, it's quite liberating of a feeling when you start thinking for yourself and you start to analyze not only what's going on around the world, but here in the United States. When you go abroad, like myself, I just came back from Europe after 20 days, and my perspective broadens every time I go. It really does. Things that caught me off guard when I first went over there are things that I really do appreciate now. The different personalities of the different countries. I mean, I think I covered 8 countries driving from Czech Republic down to France. I mean, we were through Czech Republic, Germany, of course, as appropriate. Um, uh, let's see, Liechtenstein. We were in Switzerland, Italy, and then, of course, into France. Austria was thrown into the mix there. It's just amazing how the different countries have their own personalities and own rules and regulations, and yeah, it's really really a breath of fresh air being over there. I'm here in probably the epiphany of what it means, or what people see when they see the United States of America being domiciled and living currently in New York City, under a very, very special circumstance, I might add. Because I talk to people in Europe all the time. They're like, "Well, my dream is to go to New York City." My goodness, it would just be the end all be all. I think it maybe pales in comparison a little bit when you do actually live here and you do incur the cost of living, and you have to deal with what we dealt with today, a flash storm that rolled through. And I sat in traffic for 2 hours coming back from John F. Kennedy Airport, and probably missed a delay in my flight actually getting in under the weather window. So everything was really really well. And I feel back to be back in the pocket and feel rested. And it's amazing what the French Riviera will do for you, and get you rested up and all that stuff. I was sitting in the steam room, and a guy says, "Do you speak English?" And he says, "I'm a Kiwi." He says, "I live in Sydney, Australia," and he says, "I'm originally from New Zealand." And I said, "Man, New Zealand's like #1 on my list." So I just saw Kathy pop in here. So pretty cool to see everybody pop in. But yeah, I'm going to review the portfolio tonight for the first time. Can declare a very healthy 1 million. We took a retraction today on the biggest holding in the portfolio, but I've added a layer of strategy onto Aduro, right, wrong, or indifferent. But I saw it trading in channels, so I am trading around a core right now with approximately 3,000 shares. Nothing crazy. It doesn't affect my core position right now of around 30,000 shares. Excuse me, 40,000 shares of the company. So to give and take a little bit. I just think that institutions are slow to gravitate to the story, and I think that's an opportunity for me to go ahead and do what I've done, man. I've been sharing on YouTube what it is through my strategy on how I've been able to, really accelerate the earnings. And, I'd come on and say that I'm surprised. I'm not. My mind is geared toward identifying what it is that was going to get me to where I needed to be. And that was, I wanted to be financially successful. So you question, how do you get there? What is the secret sauce? What is the thing that you need to do? Do you need to buy and sell goods? Do you need to invest in real estate? Do you need to start a business? Do you need to invest in the stock market? And I just put the 3 contributors for me specifically. I'll leave the 4th one to you guys to kind of deliberate over on your own. But I will say that the key contributors for me has been a couple of real estate deals that have worked out, and up until late has been the number 1 contributor to the bottom line. And I think for the viewers out there that catch this now during the live stream, and also potentially after the fact are probably enjoying this, whether or not you know it or not. If you own a piece of property right now, whether or not it be an apartment abroad, whether or not it be a piece of property here in the States, you're probably doing okay. You're probably sitting on some equity. You're probably sitting on some profit or both. You're probably sitting on a nice mortgage that's partially, if not halfway or all the way paid off. If you are, you probably have wealth in a form that I would probably value for you better than maybe even you. And I would hope that you look at that and you say, wow, I'm there too, just not in the form that Ryan's talking about. And then of course, stock and stock market and the portfolio and investing that I talk about, and has just as of late, of course, with the big win in Aduro Clean Technologies. I mean, look, I'd come on and say if it was a dog, but it's just been the absolute opposite. This management's kicking some ass. And I think we're a couple of months away from a real precipice in the company. And what can I say? I'm humbled. It's been a banana position for me, man. It really has. I don't eh, $400,000 position maybe right now to the positive, and I'm swing trading a little bit as well around the core. And if you guys don't know what I mean by that, you can ask me in the comments section. I keep a base position there, and then I trade the volatility. So, when it spiked yesterday up to 97 cents, I couldn't get my sell of those few on the fringes shares sold off to kind of take advantage of that swing. And of course, the stock digresses back, and I would have added some more today, but I couldn't get coverage in the plane, so I couldn't have. I was going to add three or 400 more shares in there just to top up the position up to in one of many positions I have in Aduro Clean Technologies up to the 15,000 share mark, but I didn't have a chance to do that. It was no big deal. So I popped in the ear pods and jammed out some kick-ass music. I on the 8-hour flight, I was able to catch the entire movie of Armageddon, and I was able to watch John Wick 1 again. So that was kind of cool to be able to pass the time. But you know, those are the contributors. The third thing that I do want to mention, and I think this speaks, I'm 47 for you guys, for the young people that are coming in and they don't want to listen to an old fogey like myself. Shit, I feel I'm like 19 at heart. All right. So it matters how you feel. All right. Not how old you are. So, but you might want to take a little advice from me in that, my third contributor, and this doesn't have to be for you, but for me, my occupation has been a big contributor to what it is that I'm going to declare to you guys through a fairly impressive portfolio, at least from a self-directed perspective. So, I mean, for you guys that, are looking to achieve that wealth over time, it's super important to gravitate to those tendencies that lend itself to positive behavior in the market. You might say, well, Ryan, what's the right way to invest in the market? I'm off that shit. There is no right or wrong way to invest in the stock market. Let me redefine. You could take 100 investors and they're all going to invest different. If out of those 100 investors, there's a certain percentage of those investors, by nature of the program that they deploy, make money, then that's a successful investor. All right. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that out of the 100 investors, right, the 57 that made money, all right, that there are a certain number of people who did it right out of that 57, and a lot of out of that 57 that did it wrong. It just doesn't work that way. Successful investing is measured by one bar and one bar only. Do you make money? Well, what is the secret sauce to making money, Ryan? There is none. Okay. Now I'm going to break it down for you tonight and talk about the fundamentals of what anybody can adhere to. But if you're looking to the independent investor channel to say, yeah, no, I hear you, Ryan, on the real estate. I'm 19. I don't have any money. I'm looking to just put all my eggs in the stock basket. All right. Because I don't want to work. I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. I'm going to tell you that's a hard road to sow. All right. And now people could say, well, Perhaps maybe you've had conducive markets over the course of your investing career. I don't know. Easier said now than done. I've been doing YouTube now for 10 years, and for everybody that's been with me throughout this journey, we've been through down times, have we not? Oh, wait. We've been through some killer downturns. The volatility in the market is just about as rampant now as it's ever been. It's volatile to the upside. But what's to suggest that this market couldn't correct on us and go down? And we've been through ups and downs together. There's no doubt about it. And I will not apologize for those. I will chalk them up as being an attribute within the arena that we decide to engage in. And for those people that choose not to engage on the stock market and wealth building avenue, I wish you all the luck. I really do. But if you are going to set yourself into this, there are fundamentals that you can control to help buffer on the fringes the volatility that I can guarantee you will happen. So if you're looking for that carte blanche strategy that's going to take you and strap that rocket ship, to your backside and send your ass to the moon, right, wrong, or indifferent, this is not the channel for you. Okay. I'm not a polished channel. I am supported by Google 0. All right. But I think you'll find under the fringes that the quality of information that you find through listening to my tutorial over a quick 60 minutes can prove invaluable to you guys and give you some ideas that potentially you didn't think about before joining the Independent Investor channel. Be back with you in just a moment. All right, man, we'll get right into it. The taxable account. This is an account that you start after you start the Roth IRAs. All right. If you're representing a partner in a relationship, etc., or you're representing yourself, the Roth IRA has to come as the primary drop point for your money. Now, you have to be able to max fund that per year. Roth IRA funding for this year, what was $7,000? I dropped $14,000 into one for me, one for my wife. Boom. January 1 of every year. I took a little delay this year, no problem. But once you can do that, and you can do that healthily, then you can start the taxable account. This is one with just a Duro right now and Plurilock, which has been my worst investment of 2025 by far. I've really never seen a stock that has performed so poorly in the face of a company that has performed absolutely phenomenally. And unfortunately, they're writing the same script that HS GovTech wrote before the hedge fund stepped in and private interest stepped in and bought the stock, I think, at a 54-cent premium to what it was trading for in the market, because the pink sheet market just could not value with the lack of volume and interest in the stock properly. And so a private company came in and said, Jesus, I mean, the company's worth exponentially more. We're going to buy it and we're going to take it private. And that's exactly what they did. And I know Silas, and I think Ali is probably still on the board with those guys. And I guarantee they're kicking ass, executing on their contracts. And Plurilock's knocking down some heavy contracts, and they just don't get any credit for it. Perhaps maybe in a space with some competition, not really quite sure I can put my thumb on, if they're offering the critical services business and it's so much more unique and so much more customer oriented and customer focused, which I believe that it is, right? That they can set themselves apart with some of the bigger players in the space. But cybersecurity is not going anywhere. And, the stock has a hard time getting out of its own way, but 117,000 and a half in that account there. And here's the core positions. We've been working with these for a long time, and you're going to see some big figures in these guys when we roll this out. 233 for the first, There's the 5 core holdings in their large position in the S&P 500. Of course, the Aduro position, Visa, Adobe, and Microsoft in that. And then this is mine, which is accelerated nicely beginning of this year. The account, with the assistance of the Aduro trade in here, dropped all the way down to $107,000, and it's up to 397 here. This is Roth money. I am trading around the core in this position. I've added some incredibly large positions in both SCHD to the tune of 1,650 shares, as well as VGT, which is my favorite technology ETF. I added in 65 shares of VGT. That's just the technology ETF. UNH is a bottom fishing extravaganza. Google is a large position at 100 shares. Adobe is double owned in both Roths. That's not a typo. I think Adobe is undervalued here. Costco is a buy. And the biggest buy right now in the sector of choice that nobody's talking about is healthcare, led by none other than Merck. I think Merck is a screaming buy, even with the retraction in the share price of United Health Group. I think Bristol Myers Squibb and Merck just are absolutely screaming buys. And I'll throw a Medtronic in there as well. Medtronic, you'll see, is in the dividend portfolio, but 312, 397 on this. An element that you guys can take if you're new to the channel, you catch this after and you're like, who in the holy hell is this guy? Just speaking truth here, this is a portfolio of just shy of $40,000 that receives zero attention from me. Zero. It is a luxury to put money on autopilot with the knowledge and conviction enough to put the dollars backing the sectors. This is all 11 sectors in the S&P 500, okay? Now, it's the method by which I deploy the dollars that's key here, not necessarily that you go and try to copy this portfolio, which you can. You used to be able to get it off of M1 Finance, and I've transitioned away from all of the discount brokers. The only broker that I have independent to Fidelity now is Interactive Brokers, and that's my business account. But for this account, it's passively owned. I don't even fund this. I don't even dollar cost average this. And this has done quite well, just shy of 40,000. Started it in 2019 with 1,500 bucks. Okay. There it is, kind of fun. Now, this is the dividend portfolio. This is the top 25 holdings. You can see here where my loyalty lies. Companies that I don't mind sharing through the live stream. But the real takeaway here is to pay attention that I'm investing in a theme here, the theme being dividend investing, the dividend companies covering a wide swath of sectors, subsectors, and businesses across a wide ranging company reach. And these are companies that you've known and loved. You see Sanofi. We brought our Paralin back from Europe. That's my wife's favorite. It's like Tylenol. I'll take it when you not feeling well, whatever. Boom, we brought 5 boxes back. Verizon had a kick-ass quarter finally. It only took 7 years, to finally get a little payback. Now, in the interim, I've pulled back a nice 4% dividend in the name, but I don't lose sleep owning Verizon. Okay. So for you guys that think that investing is just super, super scary and you're going to lose sleep over it, the strategies here is 25 names. And it's like, man, we're live. That's amazing. It's not amazing. It's just becoming a participant in these fine names that I know are good. Now, if you don't know anything about any of these companies, then perhaps maybe you want to do a little bit of research, or you don't. But perhaps maybe you need to question the level of conviction that you have in how badly you want to get ahead. I wanted it bad. So, these are my soldiers that I put into work. And you want to talk about the management over this account. This is slim to none as well. Very little effort goes into this at all. So this is the top end of the portfolio with 25 holdings. Okay. And then the bottom end of the portfolio, only 17 holdings. You can see here just shy of 25,000 of total value. You can see the holdings there. Okay. And I'll let the script run a little bit so you can kind of get an idea of where my loyalty lies a little bit. There could be some additions to this portfolio. There's always work to be done. Scrutinize as you will. The idea here behind the thematic dividend portfolio is that we're achieving dividend growth through a brokerage account here, free of the Roth IRA. Now, the idea as we grow the portfolio forward is to actually shift some of these names as we look to wealth preserve into the Roth IRA in some of the cream of the crop in what we're looking at in some of the dividend portfolios. Some of the Canadian stocks. I see Bank of Nova Scotia there. I see one of the other ones I had jotted down here. That's the Royal Bank of Montreal, has done quite well. Gilead is the last holding in there, and it's done quite well for me. Some of the other notables that have been kind of interesting this year. Lockheed Martin has been a real disappointment. Johnson & Johnson has been nice. CVS has been a disappointment in the healthcare, albeit it has come back a little bit with the group, but also fairly undervalued. But that's the bottom end of the dividend portfolio, and that's it for dividend growth. Then we get into what it is that we share through the employer sponsored 401k. In my particular case, it's the TSB, which has just absolutely crushed it. You see the year to date up 14.41% at the time of filming this video. I can't complain. 170, which is shy of 171,000. Started this back in 2011 with the sheer intent of getting to 100 grand. I thought I'd have 100 grand by the time I retire. Lo and behold, it's kind of crushed through that mark. And very interesting when you set off on a goal for financial freedom, and you can't put your thumb on where this is going to end up. And I go at it with ferocity, and sometimes that ferocity ends up in a down market where you're just boom, you're coming across it, and I have to come onto YouTube and I have to say, man, things are bad, things are down, the market's down. It's never as bad as you think that it is. In this case, it's probably not as good as you think that it is. So I am looking at the portfolio with a scrutinizing lens, saying, where's the risk in the portfolio? And if I was going to convey the risk in the portfolio, I'd quite frankly say that I hold a large position in a speculative growth name. Okay. I own some really, really good passive assets. I own some cash and some really good dividend payers. Oh, okay. How is it that over time we're going to transition that wealth into more of a wealth preserved status? Because in my mind, a millionaire is somebody that has liquid cash in 4 accounts valued at $250,000 each, right? They keep it at a cap, FDIC insured, right? You can borrow against that cash. You'd never need to touch it, whatever. It's liquid. It's not subject to risk. Okay, so you look at the portfolio and you say, Ryan, you've got a pretty good amount that's subject to risk. I agree. I'm right with you. So I'm hesitant to come on and say, look at me. I would rather look at it and say, oh, okay, yeah, we're at the 7-figure mark. That's one of the major milestones that I talk about in relation to your thresholds of wealth, and going from 500,000 to $1 million is that last jump from threshold 10 to threshold 11. Okay. Thresholds of wealth, for you guys that are confused by that: 500, 1,000, 2,500, 5,000, 10,000, 25,000, 50,000, 100,000, 250,000, 500,000, and then finally 1 million. There's 11 thresholds of wealth. If you don't believe me, you can rewind it and play that back again. The only reason we do that is so people understand that before they get to step 11, they have to go through the subsequent 10 steps to get there. And I think people fail to realize this all too often. You can go through the first, what, 4 steps, 5 steps, and you're at 10,000. But how many people actually get there? I've heard some scuttlebutt that becoming a millionaire is actually quite average. It's not. I beg to differ. It is not. I'm more interested in the truth than what a bunch of idiots would say about how easy it is to become a millionaire. The statistics just don't show it. Now, the mathematics would back up my insistence that more people should be entering into millionaire status at some point in their life, in their 50s, 40s, 50s, or 60s, right? A little bit later, once you've had a little bit of time to work for you. But the statistics just do not show that that is what's happening. Why? I I don't believe that it's just going to happen for you. I don't believe that it's going to happen for you unless you take a concerted effort to make it happen for yourself. That's my belief. And it's through watching channels like myself, who again get zero support from Google, and I'm totally good with that. The project value outside of Google is far more superior than what Google gives me credit for. A self-made millionaire that comes on and offers a free subscription insight to what it is that I have done to achieve this wealth. I'm sharing it for you right now. When I talk about the business element, 58,195, took a small liquidation on SCHD a little bit to free up a little bit of working capital within the business. But I think when I talk about the contributors to wealth, I think this is probably the most optional one, because I think you can become a millionaire with becoming savvy with your real estate. And I'm not talking about becoming a real estate flipper. I'm talking about buying a good piece of real estate that you own, that you cherish, that you improve over time, you keep up on the maintenance. You're going to gain some equity. And through contributing to that real estate investment, the occupation is going to play a big piece to that. Okay. And really, the culmination of all of those things, the glue that holds that together, is to offshoot and build yourself in a personal investment strategy that allows you a conduit to pay yourself first, right? These are some of the conduits that I talk about on the channel. Contribute to a dividend growth portfolio. Well, where does that have to be, Ryan? Can it be in a Roth IRA, or can it be in a brokerage account? Yes, those are your two options. Choose one. All right. I do the brokerage account right now. That's not to suggest that I won't transition a little bit and put a little Johnson and Johnson into my Roth IRA. Or if you paid attention, I have a big position in United Health right now in my Roth IRA. I have 100 shares of Merck. So I have an $8,000 bill in Merck right now because I think it's drastically undervalued. I think it's trading at 9 times forward earnings, maybe 8. Very drastically undervalued with Merck. It's that's a shooting fish in a barrel opportunity. I think fair value is probably 40 to 50% higher than where it is right now. So we buy the stock now and we sit on it until we make our renderings. I've been doing this a long, long time. Indeed. Savings, something that I've preached upon. This might be a little light for somebody with my earnings and the size of the portfolio. I would agree with that assessment. I'd like to get this up to a minimum of 50,000. We could do that probably as quickly as anything. But for right now, this is where it's at. Earning a nice 2.5% yield, kickback, and fidelity. There's 4 ways to make money in stock market investing. The 3 most obvious are capital appreciation, buying a stock for $100 and seeing the stock go to $125. The $25 is your capital appreciation. Your $100 is your base position. Number two, dividends. Dividends is probably defined by me as the closest thing to a guarantee in the stock market. If you have never enjoyed or felt the feeling of having a dividend paid to your portfolio at some point in your life, I would wish that upon anybody. If you haven't, I'd recommend getting there as of yesterday, because while I'm on vacation in the French Riviera, those assets are working for me. When I'm working hard at my occupation, one of my key contributors to wealth, those dividend payers are working for me. And I would wish that upon even my worst enemy if they want to get ahead. All right. YouTube doesn't discriminate. I have no idea who's catching this information. You can be a complete asshole, come into my channel, pick up the information, and you'll make money. Okay. Um, Contrarily, if you're a nice person, all right, you can come in here and you can make money as well. Okay. But just don't think that if you're an asshole, you come in here and you use my information to make a money, that it changes the fact that you're an asshole. All right. All right. I don't discriminate on my channel. Money doesn't discriminate. All right. If you set up personal barriers between you and your earning potential, that's on you. All right. I look to break down those barriers. I do it for you by declaring what it is that I do. That should give you all the motivation to understand how possible this is. All right. The Weiss 401, 13,379. And then the alt investments. This is a little bit light. Actually, I've added to this category. I just haven't updated it. So this final portfolio value is actually a little bit light. Okay. And with the digression in the market today, this 1.144 million is probably a little bit light. So, hey, I tell you what, I've had a lot of people come into the channel and they're say, hey, Ryan, I'm at my first 10,000. I'm probably more excited for you than I am here. This comes with a great deal of responsibility, that of which I cannot render over the portfolio now, some of which I've conveyed through this live stream, some of the risk that's associated with the portfolio. I'm happy with the capital, the shelter, the tax shelter over the portfolio. I'm obviously exposed in some of the brokerage accounts, but with the bulk of the wealth, over $500,000 in the Roth IRAs, I'm happy with that. I'm happy to convey that. If I'm a new investor, I'm looking at that and saying, okay, I want that. Well, you can have that. I just shared it with you. It's free. You don't have to pay $1,000 to come to my seminar and have me squirt vitamin juice into my mouth and jump up and down and tell you that this is possible. I'm here to tell you that it's possible for fucking free. Okay. You don't have to think that this is like some magic, magic potion that I'm giving you. This is easy shit. It's not hard. Okay. Investing in Google is not hard. Your mind is not going to self combust, okay, because you buy a stock. Most people, I think, are scared to death of investing, and I think it just blows my mind, man. I don't know, fucking maybe I'm wired differently. I don't know. I think people are wired in a way to suggest that this seems like an abnormal activity for people. That's what I think. And then I watch guys that I support wholeheartedly, like Kyle with passive income investing. Shit, the guy motivates me. It's fantastic. He's looking at the business side of things. And that's what he has. Those two pieces, occupation and business, are lumped into one category with the guy. So I'm a fan. I sit back and I watch it and I'm like, shit, he's one of the key contributors to wealth. And he's doing it and he's accelerating his wealth. So that's the key takeaway. You watch a guy like him and you're like, damn, he should be there far in excess of where I have got at 47 years old. For me, I'm under 50. I'm a self-made millionaire. This is real money. This is not fake. As a matter of fact, this is probably a touch light from the portfolio values that I've conveyed over the channel, because I've got a lot of value in some tangible assets as well that I don't share through the channel. And those have all been procured over time to render itself to the total overall portfolio. But I want to caution everybody, I was a little bit hard on Strongman Personal Finance, who I really like his channel. I think he's He's a good dude. A little rough around the edges for me, as far as some of the shit he talks about is, uh, he talks about being an alpha. Some of the shit, if he's truly an alpha, he'd probably just keep to him damn self. That's what real men do. Um, I'm not sure. I try to give him little hints and insights here and there, and I'm sure he probably looks at it and he's like, I'm the man and everybody's a piece of shit. I mean, that's kind of the way I think he looks at everybody. I don't know where his heart is. Is he really looking to help people? But if you notice, there was no Bitcoin in my portfolio. There was no triple levered types of things, and there was no equity in a piece of real estate. I don't own real estate right now. I don't own any. It's all portfolio value, which is pretty awesome if you stop to think about it a little bit. And then I also don't look at it and say, hey, it adds up to 650,000, but I'm gonna put a multiple on my own portfolio. I'm going to put a multiple of 11 times or 2x. I'm going to 2.5x multiple my portfolio. And therefore, based on that factor, I'm going to assess my portfolio value at 1.1 million and come on and tell everybody I'm a millionaire. I don't know. I don't see the logic there, to be honest with you. Guys with habits like myself will continue to exercise those habits because those are habits of the wealthy. Is what they do. And I'll share those with you now. I buy groceries, and I'll throw this in as well. I buy clothes off of eBay. It's kind of cool. Like some of the workout gear that I work out, I really like to do that. I do that for free. That's one of the habits that I have that I would throw into that elite category of something that successful people do. I won't say millionaire, because millionaire is really isolated to that financial threshold, but successful people in general, they can hold a relationship. That's a good one. They try to aspire to being and living a healthy lifestyle, right? Through diet, and then finally the exercise piece, right? Those are just habits of successful people. But we buy groceries. That's what I codified as a portion here. The second habit is I monitor my money. This is something that I think you guys can really take away and put to work. How often are you paying attention to your shit? I mean, it's give it a little pause. I mean, I know what it is for me, and I'm probably on the abnormal side. I don't know. Some people would call it abnormal. Me, shit, I call it independent. I don't need justification from other people to tell me I'm doing it one way right or one way wrong. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't. Just the cool thing about actually, I guess, showing some level of financial success is I don't really need to look at my money and say, oh my God, I need to somehow transition my approach to going with a hedge fund now, because I believe hedge funds are the biggest piece of shit, waste of time avenue that you could ever come across. I think it's a waste of fucking money. I don't see the point in paying somebody an alpha 20% fee to underperform the market. You buy the S&P 500, buy IVVVOO, SPY, pay an expense ratio of 0.03, 0.04. That's the right answer. One is a lot more politically acceptable or socially acceptable, man. Like, I mean, I could branch it out. I mean, I don't hate to pick on hedge funds. I think they're a fucking criminal piece of shit aspect of our society that shouldn't exist. I think it's like the smelly shit underneath of my armpit. I think hedge funds are just about as close to hell as you can possibly get, actually. Yeah. And you might think, wow, Jesus, this guy's it's really scathing, man. It's like, but I'm speaking the truth. You can like it or not. I don't know what to tell you. If you think you need some guy or some gal barking in your ear about what you should do with your money and that you should just put your money to sleep with somebody like that, a hedge fund. I'll branch it out to the financial planners too, because I'm seeing an awful lot of CFPs show up on YouTube. And while these CFPs are busy making 8-minute videos to try to make a few thousand extra dollars, I question whether or not they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing as a CFP, certified financial professional, right? Managing people's mother effing portfolios. That's what you're getting paid for. I don't get paid shit, right? To just come on and just tell you the truth about money and how you're giving away the farm when you move away from independent. If you're seeking out a third party to manage your personal finances, man, you're moving away from what the philosophy of the independent investor channel would preach upon as doctrine. It's doctrine, man. Yeah, be independent. Just for the sheer sake of it, even you can just look at it and be like, "Damn, dude, okay, this." I mean, it just makes sense, man. It just makes sense when you look at it. And say, just for the sheer peace of mind, and for the look. If I'm going to make a mistake, I'm going to own the mistake myself. It's all good. And you say, "Well, if I'm with a financial planner, I'm going to somehow avoid mistakes." Bullshit. Get rid of all that. It's garbage. Either you are or you are not. And me over here on the R, I'm in the minority. There's no doubt about it. This would be the financial planning institutions and the people who talk about how fugazi the market is, man, for regular people to understand. All that's garbage, man. A normal person can own Google. A normal person can own VOO. A normal person can open up their own individual Roth retirement account and own that free and clear, free of charge, with no expense whatsoever, as long as it's self-directed. You couple those pieces together and you've got a powerful wealth building avenue with just those three elements: single stock investing, whether it be dividends or whether or not you decide to buy Microsoft. Oh my God, I'm going to take this leap of faith and buy the greatest company ever to come about. Some may argue Apple. You go, girl, buy Apple. I don't care, right? Doesn't matter. Try to understand my point. All right. The tools nowadays, my friends, are there and available for you. They are there for you. You don't need my help. If I provide the link between this to that, okay, then I've done my job in providing a free service to you through an unpolished, uh, uncensored, right, and unsupported channel through YouTube. All right. This is not a professional network. This is me. This is unscripted. I mean, I had a little script here. I'll show you. That's my scribble notes there. See, we talked about the fundamentals up here, the contributors, and I haven't got to this yet. And I just started on this over here. This is YouTube. Come on, man. Jesus, it's free of charge, man. It's like, come on, man. I got Tony in the house, man. Very, very good stuff. And I monitor my money. I pay attention. That's the deal. I value the program enough to start a YouTube channel and try to help people. I do plan for the future. I'm fairly goal oriented. I share that to you. Let's see. I deliberate my expenses. I talked to you about buying stuff off of eBay. That's fun stuff. I am an organized person for the most part, and try to consolidate those investments, find that broker that I really, really like. And I love Fidelity. I'm with 3 right now, Interactive Brokers with 1 account, Fidelity with quite a few accounts. And then, of course, Bank of America with quite a few accounts, but not a whole lot of capital in those accounts. I do think independently. And then finally, one of the key habits of what I consider to be a financially successful habit is that I'm able to evolve. You can see that the portfolio has evolved over time. Okay. Do I get stuck in my rut? I like to adhere to those principles that don't change a lot over time, but I'm always willing to take a new idea. And that has been what has separated me from maybe my old self. I heard that once from Matthew McConaughey, of actually, of all people, who's, who's the greatest challenge, or who's your biggest mentor, or who's your biggest challenge, or whatever. And it's yourself 5 years from now. That's what you're trying to aspire to be, is the best version of yourself in the future, right? Based on your past performance. Don't get sedentary in your ways. Always evolve in your method, and always be open to, to evolving as an investor. It's important, and as a person for sure, but obviously this is an investing deal here. Good to see you back. Aduro's killing it. I want to say thanks to you. 8,500 shares average, through $3. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So the $3, I take it, Tony, was before the Nasdaq uplisting. I take it. I'm being a little presumptuous here, but nonetheless have made some significant money in your investment. And that's a little shot in the arm. That can accelerate your wealth. I don't know how old you are, but a shot in the arm to the positive is a good thing. I dig it. I think that's great. Eh, I just, I don't share the Adura story for people to go and buy the stock. Man, it gets misconstrued. It really does. I visited the facility myself. Very, very few can say that. The three that cover, myself, Mariusz, and Penny, all have been to the facility and have talked with the management, or at least segments of the management. I had to go on a Saturday, and I talked to 𝗖𝐋𝐈𝖖𝐊, who is the chief scientist. He was the one who met me. I talked to Ofer twice that day. He helped me with some of my expenses to go and see. But he told me, he's like, no problem, Ryan, rain or shine, 24/7, man. We're Aduro through and through. I was like, hell yeah, brother, that's awesome. And spent the whole day with Anil, put some content together, visiting both of their facilities. I have not been to London, but I did go to Sarnia, and I saw R2 with my own eyes. Um, it doesn't mean that you come onto YouTube and you share a story that it's going to work out. But I tell you what, this story, it seems to me, and if I was just going to share my instinct, which maybe it's irresponsible to do, but if I'm going to share my insight and instinct, this company seems to have something very unique and special going on. And we'll know in a couple of months whether or not those instincts are true. I think it's fair to say, if you look past, okay, the stock has performed very, very well. My focus is on the future for this company, and where it goes from here. I think this is just the beginning. I really do. I think once this NGP, the next generation process, and finally the pre-commercial unit is going to lend itself to the modularity, which I think is just far and away the unique attribute, and then deploying the chemistry on top of that, that I think is just far and away the most diverse chemistry in the marketplace, and the closest thing that I have to compare that to is Pure Cycle Technologies, and I can't bring myself to even invest in the company. I can't. I just can't do it. But Tony, congratulations, man. Thanks for coming on and giving a shot in the live stream. I appreciate you, my friend. I got the two euro, man. That's awesome. I appreciate that. I've been working off a euro and the Czech Corona. I got turned down on trying to use the dollars to buy a hamburger from my little guy in Nice, France. I said, "Can you take some dollars?" Nah, we can't do that. I had to check with his boss. I was like, sorry, man, shit. I have to use the credit card. It automatically translates it's over, man. But yeah, I feel good. I feel on fire because I'm rested. You know, you got to give yourself that break. And if I can give you some personal insight, I work pretty hard at my occupation piece. I don't share a lot of that through YouTube. You guys come on and you see the investor guy, but investing. I tell you what, investing is interesting. As an independent investor, I make trades. Over the last 20 days, I was able to increase the portfolio position by six figures. It was the greatest run I've ever had as an investor over the last 20 days. I was on vacation. I had a lot of time to look at it, but I was swing trading shit. I swung trade highly on, for Christ's sake, over a 24-hour period. Made a quick $1,000. Fuck, Duro just yesterday at the pool, I looked at it, it had shot up and boom, another 3,500 in the bank right there. That's tax protected money in the Roth, by the way. I've just been on fire. It doesn't always happen that way, but um, man alive, what can I say? It's been quite the ride. I'm super thankful. I'm super humble. Um, and I have a responsibility now to this. We're not finished. We're not finished by any means. We have, responsibility to continue to do our due diligence on the managed element of the portfolio, allow the passive piece to the portfolio to continue appreciating and compounding as appropriate. But with the market at all-time highs, it's easy for anybody to come on and look like an all-star, but it's how you react in down markets, and it's how you buffer the positions, which really separates you from the crowd. Which I don't see any radical change in my deployment to my strategy. Albeit, I will convey to you my base position in Enduro Clean Technologies, for example, is 25,000 shares, and I'm. There was a time when I had 56,000 shares, and on the first run up to about $11.50, I went ahead and took my original investment off the table to the tune of about $150,000, and I'm glad I did. So I'm in it for house money at this point. I've still got, like I said, 40,000 shares in the company. So still a significant amount of money, what it was, $350,000-$400,000 in the company. But, I think it's well placed. I think it's, one of those stories that I think is really going to transpire, and the institutions, they can continue to ignore it. I don't care. The short sellers, we have the highest short selling level, 425 thousand shares. So 425,000 shares sold short against the company is the highest level so far. Everybody I know that are bullish long in the company, they're not selling core positions. They're not doing that. Institutions have yet to come on board, but insiders for sure will continue to own the company. So, but thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate that, and I see that the Euro and UK is one of those places I want to visit. I'll probably visit there when I retire abroad, which is the plan, man, and visit your fine country. But means a lot to me, man, and thank you, and cheers from New York. It's awesome. Thank you for tuning in. Got to be late over there, man, for sure. During the Roth to the, yeah, well, it's in 4 accounts, right? 2 Roths, 1 brokerage, and then the business account. Right. Strategically allocated. I've got the lion's share of that, 15,000 shares. Mom's got 8,000 shares. The brokerage account has the second highest at 10,500 shares. And then finally 5,100 shares in the business account. Okay. So those are post split. And that's just where we sit. Still pretty well above what was my target base position that I'm just holding aggressively on the, a little bit slightly over allocated to the position. Yeah. It's just, that's how much conviction I have on the names. So that's what I've done. Am I right? I don't know. Time will tell. I mean, I know guys that have significantly more than that position, but, for me as an independent investor, this is what's right for me. And this is what makes sense. Right. Very cool stuff. Let's say hi to some folks. So welcome back. Very cool. Feisite Art Studio. Appreciate you. Thank you for another episode live. No problem, man. It's my pleasure. Very cool stuff. Matt's in the house. What's up, Ryan? I appreciate it. Yeah, I feel rested. I'm good, man. And Daniel, Oh, it's no problem. I enjoy the project, man. It's a lot of fun. It's just a little testimonial, man, on YouTube. A lot of fun. It's cool stuff. Yeah, the lost decade for sure. Becky, thanks for the comment. I appreciate it. I saw your comment while I was on vacation. I got more downtime on vacation than people think. If people think you're busy all the time on vacation, I spend a lot of time just chilling out and, eating some good food. My mother and father-in-law, they insist on making me all okay. They take good care of me. That's for sure. Yeah. They're just beautiful people. Beautiful people. No doubt about it. Hope you and the family are doing well. We're doing well now. We're all rested up. Good stuff. And Holland's in the house, man. How are you, brother? It's good to see you, man. It. How long you been with the Independent Investor Channel? You've been with me for a long, long time, man. Glad I was able to catch the show tonight. I'm glad to see you, man. Always, always glad to see you, man. Part of the family here, no doubt about it. With the Independent Investor Channel in your back pocket. Thank you for commitment to live stream. Live stream's where it's at. Yeah, yeah. I don't do polished videos. A lot of those polished videos, I think, you watch them for 8 minutes and they click. It's like back and forth, jump at it. It drives me up the wall. Why don't you just come on and discuss things with people if you're that good at what you do? Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, maybe 500,000 views on those videos, man, and they don't say a mother effing thing. Mhm, mhm. What is it that you get out of the message? I challenge thee to answer the question. UNH. Come up another discussion with other investors. What a dip. Yeah, I went in at 285 and it took a little digression from there. I think it went into the low 280s, right? But it'd be a $450 stock in a couple of years. So I choose what you want to do, you know. Yeah, I buy a Dow component like UNH. It's fine. It was some stupid retraction in the stock price for no reason. Yeah, I'm not buying it. So I buy into it. Ryan, distributions and dividends coming out this month. You have a preference with new cash? How I own both, brother. You know, very safe plays on both. Uh, Probably more of a bearish outlook on UNH right now. I have to convey. Merck undervalued by 40% is just a screaming buy. What's it trading for? $85 right now. You know, like I said, I added the Merck. I've been swing trading Merck a little bit. I just kick some motherfucking ass every time. Bristol swung trade. Like I said, I've been on fire with healthcare. But I think they're both. I mean, I own them both. I own 40 shares of UNH and I own 100 shares of Merck. So there you go. That's what I got. If that helps you, which it probably doesn't. But they're both undervalued. It's just UNH is in a little different position with a little bit of headline news to the bearish sentiment, whereas Merck has gone down for no reason. So, do what you want. Investing's fun, isn't it? There's all kinds of ways to make money. Heed my example when I first started the live stream tonight, man. I'm telling you. Yeah. Yeah. Kyle sold a bit. He did as I did. I did sell a little bit. It was right for me to do so. And where it's right for somebody to keep their entire position where they have to, whatever, it's okay. For you guys, in full disclaimer, I know it's after minute 60 on the live stream. I'm no longer connected to Aduro Clean Technologies as a content creator under contractual agreement. Okay. And I'm happy with that. I'm very happy. I just believe that, and they kept me on retainer for just about the right amount of time. I just look at my interaction from a professional sense with Aduro as, when we started talking about it, nobody knew about it. It was trading for 52 cents when I started covering it. 52. It was trading on a market that was horrendous. It was appropriate for the company at the time. I started covering the company. It was when I started buying and accumulating big swaths shares. This was big swaths shares at 52, 60, 79, $1, $1.30. I was a buyer all the way up. Shit. Since then, the news that has been transpired and the uplisting and the notoriety and the volume shift and the market cap improvement, I look at it as a successful portfolio of work, and that's good enough for me. And right now, I am involved with Oracle Resource Corp, and they're doing some exciting things. But what a different project that is, and I'm glad to be assisting with their promotional opportunity as well, and bringing some notoriety to the uniqueness of that project. But I'm no longer directly involved with Aduro from a professional sense. Okay, and that's the first time I've announced that. Will I come back? Um, I don't know. We'll really need to evaluate whether or not that will be necessary or not, because I would not want to tarnish. I think organic growth in Aduro is what is going to be the best thing for Aduro at this point. I don't think that they're as pressed with getting the word out. I think that people know who the fuck they are. They don't need me anymore. My reach is only so far, and I can't control that, right? What I can do is share a story of conviction, which is real, real dollars behind a stock and a company that I believe in, and the management, the direction that they're going, based on the technology that they're looking to deploy and the total addressable market that they're looking to conquer, or at least grab 1% of. 1% means we're looking at a $50 stock overnight, and probably significantly higher than that, right? But yeah, just because you take a little liquidation in the company doesn't mean you're a bad person. I spoke with Kyle about this actually, and some consensus about, he has a valid point. His point is, I'd like to see some material um, results, and to his point, we've yet to see that, like some real a customer step in and saying, you know what, we're going to partner with these guys. We haven't seen that yet, and that is my biggest bearish um, knock on the company, right? I think it's premature, right? I think it's ill-advised and ill-timed for that type of bearish attachment to the company. But if I was going to award a bearish observation to Aduro Clean Technologies, that's what it would be. And until I'm proven right on that, or proven wrong on that, I will continue to be right, as Kyle suggests in his video, to say, look, I want to see some of these customers materialize into something. Okay, yeah, Total, great. Okay, yeah, Shell, game changer. Okay, we're in phase what, 5, 4, 6? Nobody knows, because everything is under some sort of an NDA. Has the project, is the project even progressing? We don't know that. Okay. And so how these customers are going to materialize, which is my conviction that they will, has not yet come to fruition, which is part of his idea there, to say, look, I'll just continue to wait. And it's part of my conviction as to why I'm trading this range here. Okay, because Aduro will shoot up, and for the very reasons that I'm talking about, long shareholders don't care. They're gonna keep the shares, which is what I do with my core. But I'm going to profit from the volatility that I feel, because when it runs up quickly, it's met with very, very quick selling pressure as well. So I'm going to profit from that and go ahead and liquidate my shares when I see that the company's up, 96 cents in a day. It shoots straight up, and it's like that's not going to sustain unless the institutions are willing to come in and they know something that retail does not know, and they're willing to step into the shares and start buying up big swaths of stock. It's not going to push that volume up where it needs to be to push this thing up to 20, 25, 30, 35, and even $50 a share. It's not going to get there trading a couple 100,000 shares per day. It's not going to happen. What's it, 500,000 of volume, right, per day? That's not going to drive the needle. Hell, Hyliion does a mill and a half of shares per day, and it's, yeah, still a garbage company. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's my take on that. I hope it helps you. Now, I'm still sitting on a massive core position. Okay, so don't judge, but that's what it is. Very cool. Nicholas, I hope he doesn't regret not waiting until September. I'm also working toward being a millionaire. You'll be there. Yeah, you'll get there. You're on track. I know. And I think you've heard the right stuff. I think you're one of those examples that have kind of bounced it back off of yourself back to me. And I've been like, wow, okay, that's pretty impressive. Somebody actually listened to what I was talking about, between the cursing and between the joking and, when I'm in my moods. There's a vein of seriousness to my message for sure. This is serious. People's money is serious. Like the last thing we want to see is people coming on and losing, losing money. I mean, the portfolio is going to detract in value, obviously, at certain timings of your investment career. But, for the most part, we want to make sure that we're, appreciating slowly upwards and to the right. CFP in Canada doesn't really know shit about investment. They just sells CFA is the one. Has a yeah, exactly. I've seen some crazy videos on that stuff, man. No, I'm right. I mean, the quicker you can gravitate to the idea of becoming independent, man, the better off you'll be. Very cool. Australian Strategic Materials issued shares to raise cash. 1 month later, they gave me a tender offer way above the market. Wow, that's something else, man. What would you make of a move like that? It seems contradictory. Um, It happens, man, and you're not declaring what, the actual market. I'm unfamiliar with the Australian markets, but, you know, for the less held exchanges here, for the venture exchanges here, and especially the OTC markets, even into the best and the value, the best in the venture markets, over the counter. It's the Wild West, man. It's really, really hard. I mean, you see the price disparity between a company like, let's just use Palantir as a perfect example, right? The price fluctuation per day is the market trying to value that stock. With the attributes that we attach to some of these companies in the lesser exchanges, the tougher it is to determine a fair value. And at times, like the example I provided at the top of the live stream with HS GovTech, I interviewed Silas Garrison at the time, and I don't know anything about. I haven't researched the company. They were a phenomenal company, phenomenal. What they were doing, phenomenal. Software as a service, man. I wish I could get them integrated in the big business that I work in, and that's big government. And they do government contracts at the state level and federal level. But they phenomenal freaking business and companies that you look at and you're like, Jesus Christ, I wish I could have this in my work. It would make my work so much easier. We don't have, like, you'd look at it and say, God, how do we not have this? This is incredible. And Silas would be like, yeah, it's incredible. We have made a phenomenal product and we're knocking down multi-million-dollar contracts. And private value steps in and says, man, it's just, I think at the time they made the 52-cent offer, it was trading at 17 cents, to give you some context. But yeah, crazy stuff happens like that, David, and I appreciate you sharing the story. Very interesting. HM's in the house. What's your thoughts on UNH? Well, I mean, I bought it at the dip. I bought it at the 485 mark. I just about bought 10 more today, but it did go up. 480 would have been your entry. I don't think it's going to go down much more than that. If it does, it's a Dow component. I think it's a fairly safe investment, you know. But yeah, you can go with there 70. I've got 40, right, as a cornerstone in the portfolio. Very cool stuff. And David's in the house from Hawaii. Awesome stuff, man. It's good to see you, brother. Hope all's well. All is well. Retirement next year. Good. I expect an invite. I'll fly out to Hawaii. Congrats on a Duro. We all have benefited from that. Yeah, I hope you were able to pick up a little bit on it. Like I said, David, man, I'm gun shy, to be honest with you. If you can see the human side of me, and you know me, man, you've had beers with me in person. Uh, you know that that Hyliion thing, that really was tough on me, man, and, it tough on me, not from an emotional perspective, but just from the sheer perspective of, you know, the high conviction story changing so radically, you know? And, I see some of the same attributes going on right now with the company, and it's like, man, I saw Silent Alert just before I came on, and I almost responded to him. He's a good dude. Him and Andreas, man, they're still invested in the company. I bought 15,000 shares just on a swing trade. Boom, it went up that day, and I sold it. I thought there's no, I'll sell it and it'll run to $2, right? And sure enough, man, it sells off just like it always does, because Hyliion just, it doesn't put out any credible news at all. They come out with these big news releases that they're getting in bed with the US Navy, and they don't have a product to sell. And so anybody at the surface level due diligence can look at it and be like, "What?" Even if they did have a product, we don't know the price of the product and we don't know the margins. Those are a couple of really, really important pieces of information that I'd like to have to say, can they turn out 10,000 Carnos per year, or is it more like 12? You know, it's like, and Panzer's come on and talked about the loss margins that are going to be incurred on the first few units, and it's like, God, you start putting this shit together, how the hell are they going to make money to pay these? And they've got 95 employees, and they're all making 100 grand a year. I don't know, man. Something just still doesn't smell right with it. I think if the company is going to be, from a stock perspective, a buy, it's no less of a buy at any time in its history than it is now. If in fact the company stock is going to go up, the problem is with the company. And where I see marked progress with Aduro Clean Technologies is being pretty silent right now, and I know why, and I'm good with it. Hyliion Holdings, they're I look at them and I think their silence is because they don't have anything to say, and that's scary. It really is. And I'm of the camp, and I know you're of like mind with me. I think at some point, I think they need to be held accountable for that. I think what they have done over the last 5 years is libelous. That's my opinion, and I know you share in that opinion. And I guarantee me and you are not the only two investors on this earth that don't think that they should be held accountable for misconstruing their message coming on, and conveying that they were going in one radical direction and then changing direction not 2 days later. That stuff just, man alive, hard salt pill to take when you watch that stuff go down, and it chips away at the integrity of the management that you're supposed to be supporting. I feel nothing of that with Aduro Clean Technologies. Nothing. What a night and day difference between these two companies, and we'll continue to monitor it. I mentioned the company, but as far as coming out with official content on the company, I'm laying low and putting the project on the shelf for a while, as my professional engagement has been kind of put to a minimum. All right. This is very interesting, very good stuff. I don't. No, I've never done it. Trailing stops, never done it. If you utilize crypto good via API access supply that allows you this feature, I'll tell you what, man. I'll give you the best advice with cryptocurrency. I'm a bull on the technology. I'm not such a bull on the utility. And I know Bitcoin bulls that would argue up and down with me. I fucking wrong. You're missing it. Shit. Whatever. No problem. I've made my millions in other capacities. I'm not a Bitcoin millionaire. I don't own any amount of cryptocurrency right now. But I'll give you the best piece of advice that I can ever give somebody. If you're going to own cryptocurrency, I would highly encourage you to look into owning Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of the other cryptocurrencies in a Roth IRA through iTrust Capital. 100%. You're going to make $1 million. You might as well make it in the Roth IRA. Look, if you've got 10,000 bucks in a Roth IRA and you're young or old, it don't even matter, and you want to segue $2,500 to Bitcoin, transfer that money into a Roth IRA. You can do it like in kind, right? And now you've got Roth contributions and an I trust capital that you can segue into Bitcoin with the Roth protections over the tax. If you're going to try to own Bitcoin in any other capacity and try to declare your tax obligation, I think you're playing with fire there. In a Roth IRA, you don't have to worry about anything, right? You want to own a piece of Bitcoin, 100,000 in a Roth IRA, that shoots to $1,000,000. That 900,000 is tax free in a Roth IRA. Then transfer it back to your individual Roth. There's nothing that says you can't go from your I Trust Capital account back to your Roth IRA account. You can own 10 Roth IRAs. In this particular example, I'm suggesting you own 2. Okay. And play the 2 against each other. All right. I'm just not bullish on Bitcoin. That's just my posture. You can call me an asshole. You can call me whatever you want. Yeah, you're stupid, Ryan. Hey, no problem. Like I said, there's 1,000 different ways to make money in the market. I choose not to make money with Bitcoin because I just do not have the bullish conviction in it. And contrary to what I guess could have made with Bitcoin, I look at the conviction with an Enduro Clean technology marching toward an addressable market of $300 billion. And I'm super stoked with that. What is Bitcoin inevitably marching toward? Look, if China came out and announced that Bitcoin is actually worthless and it crashed to zero, it would be catastrophic. And I believe that they do hold that leverage. Not as bad as COVID, but if they came out and said, yeah, hey, we invented this thing, you bunch of dipshits bought into it, I think it could be the backbone of the greatest piece of financial espionage that's ever been levered against the country of the United States and people who have bought into the cryptocurrency craze. That's just me. You're sour, Ryan. You haven't made no, not really. I don't care. I've owned Bitcoin. I've made money with Bitcoin. It's fine. If that's what you want to do, do it. It's no problem. I just can't get behind it, man. I can't. Right? Yeah, hope that helps you, man. I trust capital. In some of my videos, I've got a link. I can take an affiliate commission, but I don't even care, man. Just Google I trust capital. They're pretty good to work with. Not the best customer service, but good enough to where you can get those transfers established. You know, you can have to bark up their tree, blah, blah. This is shit I've done. Okay. I'm not telling you something that like I trust capital's legit. You see commercials now on it. Like I'm in the gym at 5 in the morning and there's I Trust Capital commercials. And it's the only one that I believe in. The only one I believe is out there. I don't know if there's others. I don't know. But I have personally owned an account with them and they're pretty good. So hopefully that helps you. I appreciate you coming on. A dollar a duro, which is about 60 cents US. Stock was at 40 cents. Another rare earth play, by the way. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's done quite well. It had a good bump today, I believe. The processing is where it's at. Are you looking at any of these companies? Yes, it's in my watch list. Did quite well today. I believe it's up to it. Went up 40 cents from a dollar. $1.40, I believe, is where it's at. Interesting enough. Yeah, that's that rare earth play you had shared with me about a month or so ago. Yeah, I'm monitoring that. I haven't invested in it yet. Cracked 100,000. Which feels good, man. A 6-figure mark? That's a big one. That's a big one. Yeah. So maybe like there's like a mental shift when you go through the deliberation of saving your first 10,000, then getting up to your first 25,000 and 50, you start to actually transition in your mindset that you can do it. I think a lot of people don't have the ability to envision themselves with $100,000 of wealth. Is that fair to say, Tim? Like when you first start, you're like, hey man, you can do it. And you're like, wow, 100 grand, there's no way I'll ever do that. You really have to prove it to yourself that you can do it. And I still remember the conversation we had on the phone, man. I think we took a meeting together and yeah, you were one of the few guys that I've actually talked with. I've probably talked with around 50 people that just spoke with me directly, deployed some, if not all of the strategies, and just start on that slow tranche to wealth. And I tell you what, man, there's nothing more pure than that. Nothing more pure. You want to try to do it fast? Okay, you're going to have to take on more risk. But the pure, slow tranche to wealth, man, I think the masses can participate in that strategic endeavor. Yeah, I'm super proud of you, man. I don't mean to sound condescending, man. I know you're a grown ass adult, but I am proud of you, man. And it's these types of impacts that we look to get through to people, man. He's declaring I would never say this. I didn't know. Um, and I didn't fit this into my deliberation whether or not I was going to take this guy's call. Just remember had a good conversation. This was a while ago. This is what, Tim, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 8, 9 years ago or so. Hmm. Yeah. Well, it's a success story. I don't know. The quicker you can realize that you're in control of your own money, the better off you'll be. It's really a liberating thing, and then it can kind of branch out to other things too in your life. You know, hey, I should be in control of this. I mean, really, in essence, this is just the paper that I'm looking to compound as quickly and as responsibly as I can. Let's be real. Now, let's break it down into its most fundamental form. You know, we're trying to get these things to duplicate in the best way that we can. Right? We talked about that at the time. Yeah. So, but hey, man, I appreciate it. Now I just figure as just a friend through social media, man. You know, I'm a mentor to a lot of people. I've mentored a lot of people and had nothing to do with money. Um, if you're talking about engaging on the financial growth piece of it, this is more of the top of the pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I mean, there's people that don't have the means to even think about engaging on a strategy like this. And I've said this many, many times, investing is it's a luxury, not a right. Yeah, I really want the audience to resonate with that idea. Investing is a luxury, not a right. A lot of people can't engage in a wealth building strategy. For those that can, no problem. Let's do it the right way, and we certainly don't want to bastardize the opportunity by looking at it and thinking somehow you're entitled to. I would think you would agree, Tim. You'd look at your portfolio and say, yeah, there's been ups and downs, and it hasn't been easy. In some respects it has. It's not hard work, it's just different. It's a mental discipline and application that is different. It's just different. And if you get the right stuff and realize that it's different, and knowing that it's going to deliver on that uniqueness of independent investing, you'll be better off for it for sure. And I think you probably agree at 100,000, you're a hell of a lot different investor than you were when you started. Yeah, you can't teach that. Um, you got to experience it. And so for somebody like myself who kind of shows somebody, okay, here's a few nuts and bolts. I know that those nuts and bolts, as long as you play with them and build something a little bit special, those lessons are going to be, they're going to happen by natural attrition over time. Yeah. And I do consider that a success story. But very good stuff, man. That's where we'll wrap it up. He says 8, 9 years. So my estimate on that was pretty close, man. Very cool stuff. Really appreciate you guys tuning in to the Independent Investor channel. And, it's going to be a little bit sporadic on the live stream on Friday. But for those of you who are not subscribed to the channel, hell, throw down a subscription, man. I'll send you a bill for $2,800 each for the subscription. Just kidding. It's free of charge. Hit it. Don't hit the notification bell. I never do that. It's annoying. So don't do that. But if you do subscribe to the channel, maybe you do get a notification to show that I am live. You want to come on and spend a few minutes with me. I think it's time well spent on building your psychology and your philosophy in how you approach this wealth building game in an environment fraught with distraction. No doubt about it. Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll catch you next Friday on the Independent Investor channel. Fastest 60 minutes on YouTube.